I wanted to talk about the size of the convention because Scott Moe was facing a leadership review,
Right.
and he was facing a leadership review. I think people have been critical of Scott Moe because they did lose 14 seats to the NDP. There was damn near a wipeout in the urban parts of the province for the Saskatchewan Party. And so he was up against that. And I think the Saskatchewan Party really worked hard, at least the Scott Moe faction of the Conservative Party really worked hard to get the vote out for him. I'll go to Michael.
Yeah, they did actually. I received a call of someone who knew that I was going to be there, and he asked me a question: would I be supporting Scott? And so basically the friends and the associates were basically out working the phones. The reason being is basically they thought that if Scott would have gotten lower than 80%, it would have given some momentum to the NDP. Now, in my opinion, quite frankly, when you're 3 years away from an election, momentum to the NDP at this particular point is a non-starter. It doesn't really matter, right? By the way, the NDP just had a convention probably about 2 weeks ago, and they only had 600 delegates, whereas the Sask Party had 900. So basically, we're a third better than them. There is some talk basically about whether or not Scott Moe can pull it off, basically, because a lot of people blame him for the reduction in seats. You're right, Sheila. He doesn't have the stylings that we're used to, like with Brad Wall. Unfortunately, in politics, basically, either you define your brand or somebody else defines your brand. And if Scott could talk to every person in Saskatchewan, which of course is physically impossible, they would realize how nice and decent of a guy this guy is.
Oh, he's lovely.
Yeah, he's a great
and
guy.
Extraordinarily personable when you get him one-on-one. I wish the people of Saskatchewan would see the Scott Moe that we get to see. He's got the charisma in person. I think that he's been overly handled and overly policed and overly limited in what he could say. But in his defense, he did say that he takes responsibility. He takes responsibility for the results of the last election. And he also said a little humility goes a long way. And I appreciated that a lot.
Yeah, and he seems, when he does his speeches, he does rattle off lots of numbers and phrases. He's very technical when he actually speaks to a crowd, right? Mm-hmm. That's not who he really is, because he's a lot more personable than what he is.
Oh,
but people,
lovely, yeah.
But people basically are used to him speaking in a way that I wouldn't call stilted, but it's very stiff. And they're not used to it because everybody compares him naturally to the first premier of the Saskatchewan Party, Brad Wall, who basically was very warm and could really do it. But these are two totally different men when it comes to speaking styles. Maybe not in terms of opinions, but when it comes to speaking styles and the way they handle themselves. So
I'm just going to go back to last year before the election, and it was my advice that that Scott Moe took an opportunity to really humanize himself for the Saskatchewan electorate. I think it would have gone a real long way ahead of the last election, but if we could continue, like if the people of Saskatchewan got to know the Scott Moe that we get to know, they would have a completely different opinion of him. He's extraordinarily charismatic in person. He's funny in person, and this is a Scott Moe that the people of Saskatchewan deserve to know.
Yeah, he's lovely. He's also very kind. Like he's a good guy. Like seriously, he's a really, really good guy. So there are a faction of Sask Party supporters. What I found interesting was the fact that when the results of the leadership review came by, they announced them at north of 80%, but they didn't give the actual number. So we don't know if that was 79.5%, 89%,
or 89.4%. Yes, that's right. Exactly. There's a mile wide difference between
it probably was on the lower end of 80%, right? Because you both heard sort of the rumblings of what I would refer to as very strong conservatives in the party that don't believe that the Saskatchewan Party is conservative enough.
Heard it all day.
All day.
Right.
all day.
Yeah.
And there is a concern that social and fiscal conservatives in Saskatchewan don't really have a place to put their vote as it pertains to the Saskatchewan Party, which is a problem that the Saskatchewan Party is going to have to deal with. They want to take back the cities, and that was a big campaign that they had sort of launched at convention, was earn back Regina and earn back Saskatoon, but they must not do that at the expense of their conservative rural base. As a matter of fact, I think that it would be a good idea if the Saskatchewan Party attempted to import the good sense of rural Saskies into the urban areas. Rural Saskies are full of amazing, great conservative ideas, and that's who Sask Party should prioritize in their way forward. I don't see them doing that right now, and I'd like to see more of it.
Now, just as an outsider looking in, I noticed a very prominent absence of members of the federal Conservative Party at the convention. And for me, that's odd because, I cover UCP conventions here in Alberta, and the federal party at least makes their presence known as sort of a united front against the NDP or the Liberals or whatever, against the left. And I only heard a rumor that federal Conservative Brad Redekop had been at one of the hospitality suites, but I never laid eyes on a federal Conservative the whole time. And I thought, where's Andrew Scheer? Where's Kelly Block? Where are the federal members of the party to show support for the provincial Conservatives? I just didn't see it. I thought it was weird.
Actually, I did run into Brad Redekop. He was there, but as far as I saw, he may have been the only Conservative MP there at the time. So he was the only one I saw. I didn't see Kelly. I didn't see Kevin Waugh. I didn't see Corey Tucker. I didn't see any of them.
I just wanted to see Kevin Waugh.
Yeah,
I did.
Yeah, no. So
so
that's a very good point. I'm not sure if this is the Conservatives not wanting to be at the Sask Party convention, or the Sask Party organizers not wanting to have the Conservative MPs at their convention. I don't know which one it is, or if it's just a matter of bad planning. I don't know which one.
Well, and that could very well be, because we can say truthfully and honestly on this program that getting media accreditation for Rebel News to attend that event was a weeks-long process that was much more complicated than it should have been.
Disorganized. I'm not saying they were trying to keep us out. I just thought the organization kind of stank.
It was bad.
And I think, yes. And I think maybe it was scaling up from 300 people. I mean, we have Rebel News events that hit 300 people.
Easy.
To a nearly 1,000 per person event. I think just scaling up, a couple 100%. Could be challenging for party organizers. Mm-hmm. I'm given the benefit of the doubt.
But it could also be explained by just having a chilly relationship between the Sask Party is 18 years old. Conservative Party of Canada has their way of doing things. Sask Party has their way of doing things, and they may have just lost touch with each other. But to say that it's important for the Sask Party to link arms with the Conservatives at this time is a gross understatement. They should absolutely be sort of brothers in arms in all of this.
Yeah, and so one of the things that changed recently in the Saskatchewan Party is the longtime executive director, Patrick Bundrock, who'd been there for 15 years, just recently stepped down, and I think he's working in exec council now. So his acting into the interim executive director, fairly new with the job, basically may not have had as much knowledge about the media accreditation, because it would have been his first convention. So the new guy, I won't mention his name because I don't want people to think that he did this deliberately. It was hard to get the information from him, but the thing is, when he found out, and I was the one who finally got him to get you guys to get him to call you guys, when he finally found out that basically he kind of, I think, inadvertently didn't send the email that needed to go out to you, or you were missed on the list or whatever. But the moment I got off the phone with him, you got the email within 5 minutes.